Hey guys, what's up? I've got the green lights on because it was a good day in the market today. Made $224, but it was a lot more work than it needed to be. Mondays are difficult for me. I was a little bit undisciplined in my trading. I didn't wait for patterns to show themselves. And at one point I was actually down $1,600, but I battled back. Green day up $224. Let's dive into the recap. All right, so here we are inside of trading of Thinkorswim with TD Ameritrade. This is where I do all my trading. And you can see on the right-hand side, though, I brought up Yahoo Finance because the markets, they were fluctuating today. I trade the S&P 500 through the ETF SPY, and you can see it was down and up and kind of meandering in this range. It ended down 2.93%. So rough day again for the S&P 500. I want to bring up the S&P 500 chart here just to show you, I mean, this is the market right now. Over the last few weeks with this coronavirus thing, we're seeing the markets tank. And so what I'm doing is I'm playing the S&P 500. I'm trading the ETF SPY, and you can see it over here in the left, because I want to be able to short and long the S&P 500 once I see the momentum moving in a certain direction. And so that's been a strategy that's worked for me, and that's what I'm going to talk to you guys about today. So over here on the left-hand side, it was a crazy day. It was wild. On Mondays are difficult for me because you have to have this, so much of trading is psychology, and how are you thinking about the trades, and how are you thinking about the trades. And so for me, I was coming into this, and you can see that over the weekend, the S&P 500 was just kind of shot up, and then it kind of faded before opening, and it continued that fade. And so at the opening bell, I waited to see what would happen. Well, what happened was it went down. So the stock, the ETF here, SPY, went down, shot back up, but it stayed underneath that moving average. So I have up here an exponential moving average. I believe it's a 9-day exponential moving average. And this is a big indicator for me about which way the momentum is going in the stock. So for this one, it stayed underneath that moving average, and I wanted to wait for it to hit a bottom and reverse. And then once it reverses, I look for trend lines that I can use to calculate when I'm going to enter and exit the trade. So let's look at what happened with SPY. And this is just, I mean, this is garbage. My charting today was garbage, so just, ugh, it was awful. But anyway, here's what I was thinking. So here was my reversal. Here was the point where I thought, okay, this is where we're going to start to see an upward trend. And I didn't believe it at first. I didn't believe the chart that this would happen, because this, let's see if I can zoom in more here for you. We had it reach this bottom, which was at a support level at 221.95. And then from that point, it went up. And I'm like, okay, this is the inflection point. This is when we're going to have this reversal. Well, I wanted to draw a trend line. And so I started messing around with where I was going to draw trend lines. And so I started drawing a trend line from, from right here. But it didn't really fit what I was thinking right away, because at the time, the stock was way up here. So I was like, oh, maybe this is the trend line that it's going to listen to, right? But the stock was way up here when I wanted to trade this reversal. And so then I draw the trend line from here, and I'm like, well, maybe this is the trend line, right? And I just kept running into problems with the way I was drawing the trend line. Mind you, this is all happening real time. It's really easy after the fact to see the trend lines. But just, I was off. I was off on the charting because I was trying to find something that was there that wasn't actually there. And so I kept drawing these trend lines, kept not finding an obvious trade. And remember, that's my strategy, to find an obvious trade. And so I waited. And it put in this high up here at this top. And then it reversed. And so I was like, okay, maybe I'll trade this reversal once it confirms going back underneath this exponential moving average. And so I was like, okay, cool, that would be great. Maybe we'll trade it down. The momentum is down. You can see over here, I mean, the last few weeks, the momentum has been down. Great. But at this support level, it shot back up. So then I was like, okay, well, I'll wait for it to increase over this support level. And that's when I made a few trades. And this area right here, it was between 226.99 and 226.03. That's where I just could not find traction in my trade. I tried to go long on this, and I got anxious because you can see here, if you went long right here, it went back down, and then it went up, but then down and up and down, sort of all this chop, and that's kind of where I just did not listen to my charting. This is probably going to sound really jumbled. My thoughts were really jumbled, and it was a really jumbled day because look at, it's going up and down and up and down, and I was late every time to the party. So anyway, so long story short, I guess, okay, I thought maybe this would be a double top, and so I was going to play it when it reached this level right here. I was going to play this down once I thought it would crash below this moving average. It did not crash below the moving average. It went back up and shot back up, so I lost some money there. And then it went to the top here, so I'm like, okay, maybe this is going to be a head and shoulders pattern. So was looking for some sort of head and shoulders pattern here. You know, maybe this could be a left shoulder, this could be the head, and then maybe over here you could find another shoulder. Well, it just wasn't happening. This was dropping too much, and so I was able to scalp a little bit of this move here. I was able to scalp a little bit of this move here, but by that point I had lost so much money from this little chop over here that it just wasn't really working. We also saw this area here, which lost me a lot of money as I tried to trade this, which brings me to the main theme of the day. I should write. I have it in my notebook here, but the main theme of the day is don't trade when there's not a clear trade. So don't trade if there's not a clear trade. I tried to make this chart into a million different things to try to make money today, and there was not a clear trade until the end of the day. The end of the day presented the clear trade that I was looking for. So maybe that's the point of this. So there was not a double top. There was, I mean, the head and shoulders, like whatever, if you're creative, maybe, but I didn't see the increased sell volume that you usually see with a head and shoulders pattern, so I didn't think that it was a head and shoulders pattern. I wasn't able to draw the trend lines quick enough and accurately enough to be able to get enough information to sell trend lines. And then over here and over here with this chop, and again, this is the 5 minute, oh, this is the 1 minute chart. I want the 5 minute chart. This really shows it. This really shows it here, how horizontal this pattern was. And so that, again, is the key takeaway. Horizontal pattern. Do not trade horizontal pattern because you just don't know which way it's going to break. And for me and my strategy, that's not what you want. You want to trade when it's a clear pattern either up or down, but there just wasn't any clear pattern. Early in the day, if this would have continued, that would have been something that I would have been able to trade. But man, I should almost just remake this video because this is just going to be mumble and jumble and all this. But I'm getting better. I'm just trying to get better. I'm trying to be a better teacher. I wrote that in my notes today. Be a better teacher. So let me start over with a takeaway that you can have from my trading experience today. The first one is make sure that you use confirmation with the 1 minute chart down here and the 5 minute chart up here. The reason that you need the confirmation for my strategy is because the 1 minute chart will fluctuate a lot, but the 5 minute chart sort of is the confirmation, it's the anchor to it all. So what do I mean? Well, let's look early in the day at open. The stock was going down here, and then it rebounded to reach the moving average way back here. Okay, let's look at what it did on the 1 minute chart then. So on the 1 minute chart, what happened? Well, it went down and then up and then down and then up. And then it went in this trend above the moving average. So if you're only looking at the moving average here, and this is in 1 minute candles. If you're only looking at the moving average and the candles here, you would say, oh, you should trade this trend, which you could do. However, it's not, this is still in a downward trend. The momentum is still down. And so at any moment, this could reverse. And if it breaks down, it's going to break hard because the momentum is down. So that's why you need to see them both. You want to trade when you're on the right side, the correct side rather, of both trends. You want to trade when you're correct down here and when you're correct over here. So what did that trade look like for me in this ridiculousness of charting that I did today? It looked like over here from about 10 o'clock to 10:45, we see that it consistently stays below the exponential moving average. It comes up and touches it and checks in with it. But my strategy is to trade when you have confirmation on the 1 minute chart, the 5 minute chart, and below the exponential moving average, the 9-day that is, and that's what will make you the money. So this is the place that you want to be. You want to be in this trade because you can see how these never close off of that moving average. That's where you want to be in your trade. Now, where did I get into trouble today? I got into trouble in two places. Like I said, I got into trouble in this chop over here because look what's happening on the 5 minute chart. It's completely horizontal the whole time. Up and down and up and down and up and down. And I was waiting for, like I said, the double top, the head and shoulders. Nothing was happening. No clear chart was working for me, and it was just a bunch of chaos, like this video is, right? And then now we have another. Now it breaks this downtrend at about, we'll say 10:45. So where is that down here? 10:45. Boom. Now we have a different chart showing. Now this is on the up and up. So it breaks through, and now we're able to draw some trend lines. And we see now it's on the opposite side of the trend. It's on the top. So you kind of get this flag pattern here, and this is where I did enter a trade that made quite a bit of money as I rode this trend higher because we had confirmation. It busted through the exponential moving average, came back down to test the moving average and the trend line in this candle, and then again tested the trend line, moved up through levels of support with a lot of volume, and continued to rise, fall back, rise, petered out. That's where I recognized where I wanted to be on this candle here, and capitalized on that move because again, you see how we're staying on the top side here of the moving average, right? Until we're not. And when we're not, that's when you get out of the trade. Okay, but this is not financial advice. I don't even know how it could be financial advice. This is just a crazy video in the scheme of things. That's where I exited, I believe. Let me just double check here. Yeah, that's where I stopped trading because after losing, I was down, like I said, about $1,600, and then finally identified two trends here that were clear. They were not horizontal. There's not horizontal trading going on here. That was the key. That was the key. So, I'm sorry about the video. This is, I'm going to publish it anyway because at the end of the day, it shows that, don't trade, be patient. Don't trade when it's horizontal here, when you have no clear, defined, obvious trade. And then trade when you see confirmation on the 1 minute chart and the 5 minute chart on either side of the moving average. So for this trade, I could ride this all the way down, and then once it broke over, I waited for confirmation up here, and then I rode that one back up. I hope that makes sense. And if not, come back and join me for another video because I'm going to try another time to explain it. But to the tune of $241 today, I'll take that. Happy with that. Hope you guys had a great day today. Hope you did whatever it is that you wanted to do today. Even though most of you are probably in quarantine. Hope you're safe. Hope you're healthy. Hope to see you in the next video. Take care. Have fun. See you later. Bye.